Yi Xian traveled through the late Eastern Han Dynasty and became a county magistrate of Beihai County in Qingzhou. At a time when the Yellow Turban Army was besieging the city and running out of food, Yi Xian gained a reputation system and unlimited supply of instant noodles. After finishing this bowl of noodles, Lord Yi will be my father. The Yellow Turban Army watched as tens of thousands of murderous civilians fell into contemplation. 3 months later, Zhao Yun. I heard that adults often talk about a woman named Diao Chan, who seems to be Wang Situ's adopted daughter. If she were tied up, she would definitely give adults a surprise. Outside Chang'an City, Zhao Yun carried Diao Chan 7 in and 7 out. Zhao Yun. Diao Chan is bound today. Yi Xian looked angrily at Diao Chan on the bed. For the sake of you, a weak woman, how much damage I have done to a great general. Eat me a stick. 1 year later, sir, brothers have picked up a stone and I am filial to you. Yi Xian was lost in thought as he looked at the 8 big characters on the stone that read, appointed by heaven, longevity, and prosperity. I really don't want to declare myself emperor. Feilu Novel Network reminds you that this novel and its characters are purely fictional. If there are any similarities, they are purely coincidental and should not be imitated. Chapter 1. Infinite Instant Noodles. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In the first year of Chuping, autumn. Qingzhou, Beihai County, Dong'anping County. Sir, wake up quickly. The Yellow Turban Army is preparing to attack the city again. Outside the city. This time they gathered thousands of people and horses. It seems that they are determined to win Dong'anpingji. We may not be able to resist it today. In a moment of shaking, Yi Xian opened his eyes, his vision slightly blurred, and he quickly regained consciousness. What caught the eye was a man wearing light armor, with a fierce appearance and a long axe in his hand. At that time, Yi Xian was all confused and thought to himself, shouldn't this guy be trying to murder? What Yellow Turban Army? What are you talking about? At this moment, Yi Xian's heart was full of questions. As soon as he spoke, a memory popped up in his mind. In a moment of daze, Yi Xian regained his senses and looked shocked. He actually crossed over. I am the county magistrate of a county in Beihai County during the late Eastern Han Dynasty. As for the fierce man shaking him in front of him, it was a military marquis under his command named Zhang Meng. The Han army composed a song for every 200 soldiers, with the military marquis leading the way. Dong'anping has a garrison of 1,000 soldiers, with a total of 5 military lords. At this moment, the man in front of him frowned as he saw Yi Xian's bewildered expression. Sir, shouldn't your head be broken by a fall? Why don't you go and call a military doctor to show the adults? Did you suffer from amnesia? Upon hearing this, Yi Xian's mind shook from shock and remembered his original body rolling down the stairs while patrolling the city defense yesterday and hitting his head. Perhaps it is this reason that led him to travel through possession. The death of the other party may be a relief. After all, in the current situation, the Yellow Turban Army may attack at any time, and it will be difficult to escape death. Then thinking of this, Yi Xian also sighed helplessly. Why is he so unlucky? He was about to be slaughtered as soon as he crossed over. No need to call a military doctor, I'm fine. Yi Xian waved his hand and stood up, feeling a wave of weakness and his stomach growling loudly. The man next to him looked embarrassed. They were besieged and deprived of food by the Yellow Turban Army, and both the defending soldiers and the people in the city had not had enough to eat for half a month. Even as a county magistrate, Yi Xian shared hardships with the defending soldiers and did not eat an extra grain of rice. At this moment, his body is also a bit overwhelmed. Yi Xian felt it was difficult to walk, let alone commanding the city wall to defend it. If the defending soldiers were in the same situation, then Dong'anping would definitely not be able to defend. At this moment, a warning sound flashed through my mind. God-level reputation system binding. System binding successful, novice gift package distribution in progress. Congratulations to the host for obtaining unlimited supply of instant noodles. Yi Xian was momentarily shocked, and then an excited smile appeared on his face. Unlimited supply of instant noodles. This is really timely. Yi Xian's idea is to open the reputation system panel. Host. Yi Xian, force value. 80, reputation value. 1300, reputation mall. Random flavor beef noodles. Free. After seeing the free beef noodles, Yi Xian couldn't wait to have a meal. But when he noticed his subordinate standing aside, Yi Xian turned his head and said to him, "Zhang Meng, you should find someone right now. It's in this big pot of 20. Go quickly." Upon hearing these words, Zhang Meng's expression was taken aback, somewhat bewildered. The Yellow Turban Army is about to attack the city. Why do the county magistrates still have to start cooking? Besides, they don't have any surplus food left. Sir, are you saying now? But the Yellow Turban Army is right outside the city. Also, we're out of food. Before he could finish speaking, he was interrupted by Yi Xian waving his hand. Do as I say. Even if we want to resist the Yellow Turban Army, everyone must have enough to eat first, right? As for the food, you don't have to worry. Seeing Yi Xian say so, Zhang Meng hesitated to speak, then sighed and left. He suspected that the county magistrate might have had a hysterical attack. Yi Xian saw no one around and immediately started exchanging for free instant noodles. The next second, countless instant noodles appeared out of thin air and quickly piled up into a small mountain. There are a total of 10,000 bags. At this moment, Zhang Meng also brought more than 10 cooks carrying iron pots to the small courtyard. Sir, the pot is here. Grain. What are these things? Sleeping trough. When Zhang Meng and others saw the piled-up instant noodles on the ground, their faces showed shocked expressions. They haven't seen this thing before. What shocked them was how these things appeared out of thin air. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 2. A bowl of noodles, loyal to death. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Before long, a strong aroma wafted from the small courtyard. Zhang Meng and others all had intoxicated expressions on their faces, swallowing saliva incessantly and staring straight at the rolling iron pot. Gollum. This. It's so fragrant. Sir, what is this instant noodle? Where did it come from? At this moment, Yi Xian's attention was also focused on the instant noodles in the iron pot, and his stomach was already growling with hunger. Don't ask so many questions, just say whether it smells good or not. Fragrant. Zhang Meng immediately nodded and said. Then let's eat it. Yi Xian waved his hand and said, he can't wait anymore. Suction slip. Woo-woo, it's delicious. At this point, he may be extremely hungry, and Yi Xian only feels that the instant noodles in his mouth are exceptionally delicious. The people around also nodded wildly in agreement, ignoring the scorching heat and pulling the noodles in their mouths. Don't just focus on eating, quickly find someone to deliver these noodles to the city to fill the soldiers' stomachs. Hurry up, the Yellow Turban Army will be attacking the city soon. Don't stop the iron pot, continue cooking. Yi Xian did not forget to command. At present, besides filling our stomachs, the most important thing is to resist the upcoming siege of the Yellow Turban Army. If the county town cannot be defended, it will be a loss of life. Yes. Zhang Meng quickly nodded in response, beckoning half of the people in the small courtyard to take out the noodles from the pot and sprint towards the direction of the city tower. At this moment, the defending soldiers on the top of the city sat weakly on the ground, occasionally glancing at the movements of the Yellow Turban Army outside the city, and throwing their weapons aside. They have been drinking thin soup for half a month and don't have any extra strength. Standing for a while longer may cause exhaustion. Lord Junho, why hasn't the county magistrate come yet? The Yellow Turban rebel is about to come over, isn't he hiding? I just saw Marquis Zhang take away the cook and say he's going to cook for the county magistrate. What? Didn't you say there's no food left? Why can the county magistrate still have food? I'm waiting here to defend the city desperately, he's eating and drinking in the city. This is too much. If so, I won't work hard for him. I might as well have a mouthful of hot congee instead. The defending soldiers are all complaining. At this moment, even if someone says such heinous and immoral words, no one will care because they have all had such thoughts in their hearts. Who cares about being loyal to anyone when they can't even eat enough? The leading military lords were also silent at this moment, with thoughts in their hearts. At this moment, a soldier suddenly exclaimed in surprise. It smells so good. What kind of flavor is this? Immediately after, more and more soldiers showed surprised and intoxicated expressions on their faces, slowly standing up from the ground and looking around. The county magistrate has brought food. Don't compete, everyone has a share. Zhang Meng, who arrived, shouted loudly. He had just eaten his fill and had a deep voice, which all the soldiers on the city could hear clearly. The soldiers' eyes were all focused on Zhang Meng, and then they saw the cooks and the wooden barrels in their hands. The starving soldiers looked at the steaming noodles with green eyes and rushed towards them with all their might. Everyone didn't care about picking up bowls and chopsticks, so they reached out to grab the noodles and started eating them in large gulps. Wow! It smells so good. This is simply a human delicacy. Is this the taste of fine salt? With so much oil and water. The taste is so beautiful. Oh my goodness, isn't this supposed to be a decapitation meal? I've never tasted such delicious noodles since I was so old. Even if it's a decapitated meal, I'll accept it. The county magistrate is so kind to us. I even said to him before, I'm really damn it. The soldiers were eating with tears streaming down their faces, some choking on the seasoning, while others were too moved. In this era where even salt is a luxury item, the seasoning packets of instant noodles instantly conquered the taste buds of soldiers, and there is so much oil and water in the noodles, which is more than what they eat in a year. Everyone was eating noodles while praising Yi Xian, wishing they could immediately show their loyalty. Marquis Zhang Meng didn't waste his time either. He quickly ran back to the small courtyard with his cook, filled it with cooked noodles, and continued to run towards the city. The Yellow Turban Army is about to attack the city, leaving little time for the soldiers to eat. He must hurry up. After running back and forth a few times, the soldiers on the top of the city were almost half full. Everyone's lips were filled with oil and water, and their faces were filled with happy and satisfied smiles. At this moment, Yi Xian also arrived at the city's top. At the moment when the soldiers saw Yi Xian, without saying a word, they knelt down on the ground with a thud. Lord Yi, little Zhao heir, this life belongs to you. Sir, can you tell me how to fight this battle today? I dare to go all out. The leader of the Yellow Turban Army is outside the city. With just one command, I'll go and retrieve his head. I swear to die and be loyal to my lord. Looking at the soldier kneeling on the ground in front of him, Yi Xian was still a bit confused at the time. I couldn't help but feel the simplicity of these soldiers. Give them a full meal, and they will give their lives to you. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 3. Resisting the Siege of the Yellow Turban Army. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Everyone, get up. The most important thing now is to resist the attack of the Yellow Turban Army. Yi Xian spoke up. The soldiers stood up from the ground, and several military lords also came to Yi Xian. Sir, there are over 5,000 Yellow Turban Army gathered outside the city. They don't have siege equipment, and if they attack, they will only climb the city walls or forcefully attack the city gates as usual. I believe that defense is more than enough. If adults want to eliminate this Yellow Turban Army, I am willing to lead my troops out of the city and take the initiative to attack. One of the military lords clasped his fists and said to Yi Xian. Although their military strength is not high, the Yellow Turban Army outside the city is composed of village soldiers and refugees, with almost no combat effectiveness. Previously, everyone was so hungry that their chests pressed against their backs, their morale was low, and they had no intention of fighting against the Yellow Turban Army. But at this moment, the soldiers were full of food and drink, and they were still eating fine grains. Not only were they full of strength, but they were also full of fighting spirit. They wished to go out of the city and fight against the Yellow Turban Army for a while, in order to repay Yi Xian's kindness. They were restless about eating this instant noodles and always thought of risking their lives for Yi Xian. Upon hearing this, Yi Xian immediately waved his hand and rejected the opponent's proposal to go out of the city for battle. Even though their morale is high at this time, they do not have an advantage in military strength. Once they are surrounded outside the city cannot be defended. No way. At present, the defense equipment is abundant, and the terrain advantage lies with me. Let's first defend against the enemy's attack. Wait for the enemy to show signs of fatigue before planning to attack the city. Yi Xian looked at the 5 military marquis in front of him and said, "They will have an advantage in the city and there is no need for them to go out of the city and fight against the Yellow Turban Army. It is good to have fewer deaths. You should know that the current situation is chaotic, and the Qingzhou region is a heavily affected area for the Yellow Turban Rebellion. The Yellow Turban Army will attack at any time, so having more troops is always good, and it can also have the ability to protect oneself in this chaotic era." "Yes. I humbly take orders." "Obey your orders." The 5 military marquis all respectfully replied. At this moment, Yi Xian appeared like a deity in the eyes of everyone. He would not refute anything he said, but would only comply. "Archers, go up to the city and prepare. Everyone muster up their spirits and absolutely cannot let the Yellow Turban rebels enter the city. For the sake of adults, fight to the death." Several military marquis commanded their soldiers to prepare for battle on the city. At this moment, it seems that the Yellow Turban Army outside the city has also completed their prayers, with some soldiers charging towards this side of the city. "Kill. Rush into the city and kill all the officers and soldiers. Food and women are all yours. Who will climb to the top of the city first, and be promoted to 3 levels of official rank?" The leader of the Yellow Turban Army in the team shouted loudly. At this moment, the charging Yellow Turban soldiers seem to have been beaten with chicken blood, desperately charging forward. They can't survive anymore. They joined the Yellow Turban Army just to have a full meal. As long as they attack the city, they can seize all their possessions and eat. Archers are ready. 100 steps. 80 steps. On the top of the city, the military marquis commanding the archers stared fixedly at the Yellow Turban rebels charging towards the outside of the city, observing the distance between the two sides. "Shoot arrows." With a command, the arrows on the city head rained down like raindrops. The archers were holding back their strength, and the arrows they would shoot were farther than usual. "Shoo shoo. Puzzy. Puzzy. Puzzy." The yellow scarf soldiers rushing towards them collapsed in an instant in a rain of arrows. These yellow scarf soldiers don't even have decent weapons in their hands, let alone shields and armor. Strong and powerful arrows can penetrate their bodies within this range, and the Yellow Turban soldiers who were hit by the arrow and fell to the ground, even if they did not die, lost their combat effectiveness in a short period of time. Ah! Help me! Today's officers and soldiers are so powerful. The soldiers with yellow scarves let out a scream. Some soldiers with yellow scarves were frightened and quickly stopped their steps. The leader of the Yellow Turban Army behind him immediately shouted. "No one is allowed to step back. Attack. Those who retreat, kill without mercy." Faced with orders from the leader of the Yellow Turban Army, some timid soldiers could only grit their heads and continue charging forward. The arrows on the city head are still pouring down. The soldiers of the Yellow Turban Army who continued to charge were constantly hit by arrows and fell to the ground, with casualties expanding. They finally rushed to the edge of the city wall. As soon as they set up a long ladder, wooden stakes and stones smashed down from the top of the city, bang. 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 Ouch. Ah ah. The yellow turban soldiers on the side of the city wall were immediately beaten to the ground, some of whom fell to the ground and fainted, resulting in a large area of casualties. In order to survive, these soldiers of the Yellow Turban Army can only grit their teeth and build long ladders to climb the city. If trapped under the city, only death will welcome them. The continuously falling wooden stakes and stones on the city had smashed down many soldiers of the Yellow Turban Army, but still some people climbed up the city head before he could jump into the city. He was brutally chopped down by the officers and soldiers who had been waiting for a long time. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 4. Defeat the attack of the Yellow Turban Army. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The number of soldiers from the Yellow Turban Army who climbed the city continued to increase, and the pressure on the defending officers and soldiers also increased. However, the soldiers on the top of the city fought bravely and even became somewhat excited. Brothers, kill these rebels. The county magistrate is watching us, don't let him down. It's time to show our face, let the county magistrate see our strength. Who dares to go to the city? I'll chop off his head. At this moment, Yi Xian, as the magistrate of Donggenping County, stood at the top of the city to supervise the battle, looking at the soldiers of the Yellow Turban Army charging densely outside the city with a somewhat solemn expression. Especially seeing the bloody battles on the city walls, splattering blood and amputated limbs, it's nauseating. At this moment, Yi Xian's stomach surged and he felt indescribably uncomfortable. The wars he used to see were only in TV dramas, not as bloody and cruel as before. When he truly immerses himself, his heart still feels trembling. Sir, it's too dangerous here. Why don't you go back to the government office first? Don't worry, lowly officials and others will definitely defend the city tower and won't let the Yellow Turban rebels kill in. Standing next to Yi Xian, Marquis Zhang Meng spoke up and advised. Nowadays, Yi Xian's position in the minds of Zhang Meng and others is unparalleled. He wished he could confess him, and at this moment, he didn't want him to encounter any danger. Even if Yi Xian was not supervising the battle on the city tower, they would bravely kill the enemy. Upon hearing this, Yi Xian shook his head and refused the other party's offer. As the county magistrate of Donggenping, I naturally want to live and die together with the entire city's military and civilians. Today we will fight together against the enemy and never retreat in a desperate battle. Yi Xian shouted loudly, his voice spreading throughout the entire city. The soldier who was fighting with blood trembled all over, as if a cavity of hot blood filled their chests. Don't retreat from a dead battle. For the county magistrate. Kill the enemy. The soldiers were all red-eyed, fighting even more bravely. The soldiers of the Yellow Turban Army who attempted to climb the city were killed before they could even jump up to the top of the city. Run. Hurry up and run. Retreat. The soldiers of the Yellow Turban Army under the city wall were afraid of being killed by this fierce fighting method. After dropping hundreds of corpses, they all began to flee back. The Yellow Turban rebel has retreated. Great, we won. The soldiers on the top of the city cheered. Compared to the previous city defense, they killed very happily and were full of energy today. Sir, the rebels have retreated. We're holding on. Zhang Meng looked excitedly at Yi Xian in front of him and said. Looking at the defeated soldiers of the Yellow Turban Army, Yi Xian's face also showed a relaxed smile. Although it was just a small victory, it at least solved the urgent issue. The Yellow Turban Army outside the city is gathering defeated soldiers, but the number is still large. Seeing whether they would continue to attack the city for a while, Yi Xian also felt relieved. In this battle, the Yellow Turban Army suffered hundreds of casualties, while the defending soldiers only died 2 and more than 10 were injured. This is also the difference between a regular army and a rural hero. However, the most important reason is that the defending soldiers had enough to eat and drink, had high morale, and had an advantage in the city, with complete bow and crossbow weapons, in order to easily defeat the rebels. When Yi Xian returned to the county government office, he immediately found an empty warehouse and then exchanged a room full of instant noodles from the system mall. With these instant noodles, at least we can ensure that no one in the city will starve to death and everyone can fill their stomachs. Reputation value +1, reputation value +1, reputation value +1. At this moment, a series of warning sounds flashed through Yi Xian's mind. After the battle just now in the favor of instant noodles, Yi Xian's reputation has increased by more than 800 points. And it's still increasing at this moment, sir. The people in the city have already shouted outside the county government office as you instructed. Sir, are you inside? Zhang Meng's shouts came from outside the house. Yi Xian walked out of the room, glanced at Zhang Meng in front of him, pointed to the warehouse behind him, and spoke. Bring those cooks over and take out all the instant noodles in the room to cook. Wait for me to arrange later. Upon hearing these words, Zhang Meng was taken aback and immediately looked at the warehouse, his expression becoming very exciting. The adults, do you still have noodles? Zhang Meng couldn't believe it. He felt that the previous noodles he ate were very unreal, like he was dreaming. But he didn't expect there to be so many noodles in the warehouse, which surprised him very much. So he has a chance to taste the delicious food again. Yi Xian calmly glanced at him and said in a deep voice. Don't worry, it's enough. Upon receiving confirmation from Yi Xian, Zhang Meng was immediately overjoyed. Yes. I will immediately order someone to handle it. He agreed and immediately ordered the soldiers next to him to call for the help of those cooks. Upon seeing this, Yi Xian walked towards the outside of the county government office. Zhang Meng beside him quickly caught up. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 5. The people are loyal and willing to work hard. You are listening at novelfull.audio. At this time, countless people had already gathered on the streets outside the county government. Faced with the siege of the Yellow Turban Army, the people of Dongdimping were also starving, and many of them were thinking of joining the Yellow Turban Army outside the city. Although rebellion may lead to death, at least one can first fill their stomachs and not starve to death. For the government, the people have lost confidence, and this will only be a last bit of luck, hoping to come to the county government to try their luck. I don't know why the county magistrate summoned the big guys over. Whatever, I just want to eat something now. If the government doesn't have anything to eat, I'll have to flee outside the city. If I had known earlier, I would have joined the Yellow Turban Army, and I wouldn't have starved here. The Yellow Turban Army is besieging outside the city. Shouldn't the county magistrate want us to defend the city for him? Who is this dog county magistrate? Do you want me to sacrifice my life? No way. It can be seen that the people have a lot of grievances against the government, and they don't forget to curse a few words while waiting. The county magistrate is here. With a loud shout, Yi Xian led Zhang Meng out of the county government office. The eyes of everyone turned towards each other, and there were very few people who stood up to kowtow. Most of them sat on the ground watching, with a numb expression on their faces. Yi Xian stood in front of the county government office, looking at the people in front of him who were barely dressed and skinny. His emotions were very complicated. He originally intended to mobilize the people in the city to assist in defending the city, repairing the city defense, and the damaged facilities in the city. But at this moment, when the words reached his lips, he couldn't speak. The people have already suffered so much, how could he be too embarrassed to make them sacrifice their lives? Mainly, I'm afraid no one will listen to him. If he were these common people, it would be good if he didn't smash the county magistrate's dog head with a brick, sir. Zhang Meng beside him saw Yi Xian in a daze and whispered a reminder. Yi Xian regained his senses, took a deep breath, and turned his head to look at Zhang Meng's command. Order someone to take out all the cooked noodles in the county government and distribute them to these people. Go quickly. Upon hearing these words, Zhang Meng was momentarily stunned before nodding. Yes. I'll go now. Zhang Meng turned around and ran into the county government office with a team of soldiers. The people outside the county government suspected that they had heard wrong. Just now the county magistrate said, "You want to give us food." Did you hear me wrong? How could that be? Not all the officers and soldiers are still hungry. Where can we share the share of the people? I also think who's going to give me a stutter. I called him Dad. Just as the people were whispering, a strong aroma drifted out of the county office. Hiss. What a fragrant taste. What kind of smell is this? It's too fragrant, isn't it? Gollum. Where did this fragrance come from? It seems like in the county government. The hungry and dizzy people were in a commotion, searching for the source of the fragrance. Everyone's faces showed intoxicated expressions. They had never smelled such a fragrant smell before, and their stomachs were all growling at this moment. Zhang Meng led the sergeant to run out of the county government office carrying buckets of instant noodles. Sir, the noodles are here. Look. Zhang Meng looked at Yi Xian and asked for his advice. The people in front of them all got up from the ground, their eyes fixed on the wooden barrels in the hands of the soldiers, constantly swallowing saliva. It's really delicious. It's so fragrant. Gollum. Isn't the county magistrate really planning to treat us to dinner? Yi Xian waved at Zhang Meng. Divide it among the people. Maintain good order and don't cause chaos. Zhang Meng immediately nodded. Okay. Leave it to my humble duty. Zhang Meng agreed and led the soldiers around him to distribute noodles to the people in front of him. Suck up. How fragrant. The people who received the noodles took a bite and immediately showed an expression of enjoyment on their faces, feeling a bit unreal. Tears of excitement had already flowed from their eyes. They never thought that the government would distribute such delicious noodles to them, and their hearts were immediately moved. The county magistrate is really kind to me. The county magistrate is my reincarnated parents. After eating this bowl of noodles, even if I have to fight against the rebels, it's okay. Dog Days Yellow Turban Army, you and I are at odds. Mr. Yi will be my father from now on. The people all knelt down in front of Yi Xian and kowtowed several times. Thank you very much, County Magistrate. The grace of saving lives from adults is unforgettable to petty people. Seeing this, Yi Xian quickly waved his hand and said. Everyone, get up. Don't kneel down. Let's fill our stomachs first and then. At this moment, Yi Xian felt the responsibility and burden of being a county magistrate, not only to resist the Yellow Turban Army outside the city, but also to ensure that the people in the city had enough to eat. At this moment, a soldier rushed over. Sir, the Yellow Turban Army is attacking the city again. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 6. Rush out of the city to kill the enemy. Begging for flowers. You are listening at novelfull.audio. As soon as the sergeant finished speaking, the half-eaten civilians paused and their eyes turned towards the direction outside the city, frowning with displeasure. Damn it, these bastards dare to attack the city. I just took a bite of hot food, I'm dying. Whoever wants to kill the county magistrate, I will kill anyone. This is running to grab our food, isn't it? Kill these rebels. Old and young men, the county magistrate has treated us well. It's time to repay our kindness. Go back and copy the guy, fight. The people stood up, eating their bowls of noodles while running towards their respective homes. Seeing this, Yi Xian was stunned for 2 seconds, trying to stop him, but the people in front of him had already run away. Yi Xian is all confused. He didn't say anything, so these people are going to go find the Yellow Turban Army and fight for it. However, thinking about it can also be understood. Although it may seem like just a bowl of instant noodles, fine grains, salt, and meat grains may not be enough for ordinary people to eat for a lifetime in this chaotic era. Yi Xian not only fed this group of people, but also ate such delicious food. The people were grateful to him, and at the same time, in order to protect this hard-won opportunity, they voluntarily went to fight against the Yellow Turban Army outside the city. Whoever makes them unable to eat, they will play with anyone. Standing on the side, Zhang Meng became excited. Sir, great. With the help of the people in the city, it will be much easier to defeat the Yellow Turban rebel. There are tens of thousands of people in the city, and if they all go out to fight, then thousands of Yellow Turban rebels will not be enough to fear. Sir, I humbly request that you lead your troops out of the city to meet the enemy. Zhang Meng said excitedly. Faced with the attack of the Yellow Turban Army, Zhang Meng not only had no fear at all, but was also eager to engage in a fierce battle. Previously, he might have been afraid of the enemy's might, but since he had eaten his fill, he constantly wanted to show himself, and with the help of the people, he became even braver. Yi Xian looked at him with a complex expression and said in a deep voice. Go to the city tower. Although the Yellow Turban Army outside the city has weak combat capabilities, it is not easy to deal with due to its large number of soldiers. At this time, outside Dong'an Pingcheng, the Yellow Turban Army, which had just lost a battle, regrouped again. The leader of the Yellow Turban Army originally intended to rest for a few days before finding a way to continue attacking the city, but he didn't know what had happened in the city. A strong aroma wafted out, making his mouth water. Not only him, but also the soldiers of the Yellow Turban Army outside the city were all crying with envy. They immediately turned around, intending to continue their siege and go to the city to work. Today, I swear to break this city. Kill me. Drive into the city to eat and drink spicy food. Let's fight together. This time, thousands of Yellow Turban soldiers charged together, intending to take a desperate gamble. Their attack is disorganized, with only one target, advancing into the city. The soldiers on the city are also ready to fight. I won a game before, and now my morale is high. I am not afraid of the Yellow Turban rebel. Keep your spirits up. Wait for the rebels to approach before shooting arrows. A military marquis with a beard all over his face shouted in a deep voice. Yes. The archers on the top of the city responded loudly. Just as they were preparing for war, the people inside the city were rushing towards the direction of the city gate in a swarm. They were all holding different tools, and even some were holding wooden sticks. Lord Junho, there's an accident. A sergeant came running over. Upon hearing this, the man with a bearded face was taken aback and frowned as he asked. What's going on? What happened? The sergeant panted and explained, pointing in the direction behind him. The people. The people in the city are coming towards us with their belongings. Upon hearing these words, the man with a beard suddenly changed his expression. What, are the people in the city rebelling? How dare they? This is not for fun. There are tens of thousands of people in the city. If there were to be a rebellion, the defending soldiers would not be able to withstand the situation of being sandwiched between the inside and outside of the city. The bearded man took a deep breath and immediately brought in several other military marquis to discuss. Just when they didn't know how to deal with it, they heard a commotion coming from within the city. Open the city gate, we're going out to kill the enemy. Dog days Yellow Turban Army, I want to teach them how to be human. After eating Mr. Ye's noodles, we need to repay our kindness. This city gate is too troublesome, don't affect us to kill the rebels. The several military lords on the city were stunned when they heard these words. What's going on here? Isn't it a rebellion? Are they going out of the city to kill the enemy? And this good thing? After a brief moment of confusion, these military lords gritted their teeth and said in a deep voice. Open the city gate. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 7. Defeat the Yellow Turban Army. Begging for flowers. You are listening at novelfull.audio. If these people are in the same group as the Yellow Turban Army outside the city, whether or not they actively open the city gate, the defending soldiers cannot resist. It's better to open the city gate and see what these people really want to do, whether they really go to fight against the Yellow Turban Army. Boom boom. The heavy city gate opens. Old and young men, go ahead. Kill the rebels. For Lord Yi. In an instant, the people inside the city responded in unison and rushed towards the city gate. At this moment, thousands of soldiers from the Yellow Turban Army outside the city are charging forward. When they saw the city gate open, they almost thought that the defenders in the city were about to surrender. Then they saw a group of people holding agricultural tools rushing out. The soldiers of the Yellow Turban Army were all a bit confused and didn't understand what the situation was. Are these people here to seek refuge? Just as they were speculating, they heard deafening cries of killing. Kill this group of rebels, go ahead. Kill them all. Looking at the murderous people ahead, the soldiers of the Yellow Turban Army were completely dumbfounded. Oh no, I'm coming at them. Are these people crazy? Did we offend them? Why defend the city for the government? The Yellow Turban soldiers were confused and couldn't understand the actions of these people. In the blink of an eye, both sides had already fought together. Although these people are holding hoes and firewood knives, their momentum is not weak at all. The people, who had been holding back their anger, mercilessly attacked the soldiers of the Yellow Turban Army one by one, with their blood boiling and shouting loudly. With a numerical advantage, these Yellow Turban armies were instantly overwhelmed. Those soldiers of the Yellow Turban Army were all beaten up and confused. Are the people now so crazy? Seeing the situation unfavorable, many soldiers of the Yellow Turban Army turned around and ran away. The defending soldiers on the top of the city were stunned when they saw this scene. Sleeping trough, these common people are too fierce, aren't they? Hush. So many people are going out of the city and working hard, are you crazy? Lord Yi is really amazing, he can even make the people in the city stand up. The Yellow Turban Army outside the city has been dispersed, why don't we also leave the city? The soldiers couldn't hold back and wanted to go out of the city to fight. At this moment, the Yellow Turban Army was beaten and retreated by the people, which was a good opportunity to launch an attack. A military marquis hesitated slightly. But, without Lord Ye's command, I rashly left the city. Before the words could finish, Yi Xian's voice came through. All troops leave the city and defeat the enemy. Your Excellency. The military lords felt as if they had a backbone when they saw Yi Xian coming. Upon hearing his command, he immediately clenched his fists and took orders. Yes. The soldiers have been repeatedly attacked by the Yellow Turban Army these days, and they have long been filled with anger. As soon as he left the city, he headed straight for the Yellow Turban Army to kill. The Yellow Turban Army, which had already shown signs of fleeing, suffered a complete defeat after being attacked by soldiers. The leader of the Yellow Turban Army stationed in the rear was numb to the sight. It was a great advantage of besieging the city, but in the blink of an eye, it was achieved like this. Although he was very unwilling, he knew at this moment that it was important to escape, so he gritted his teeth and led the guards around him to quickly escape. The remaining soldiers of the Yellow Turban Army scattered and fled, with many casualties. Those who surrender will not be killed. Surrender without killing. The soldiers chasing the defeated soldiers shouted loudly. Some timid soldiers of the Yellow Turban Army were frightened and their legs became weak, so they knelt down on the ground and surrendered. If you continue to resist stubbornly, you will definitely be in danger. They also joined the Yellow Turban Army to have enough to eat and did not want to die in vain. At this point, the situation has passed and we can only surrender. After chasing for miles, the soldiers began to gather their troops and bind the prisoners. Yi Xian looked at the soldiers who were already cleaning the battlefield outside the city. as well as the people who were gradually returning to the city, and his heart also breathed a sigh of relief. He didn't expect the war to go so smoothly, and the 5,000 Yellow Turban Army was defeated like this. "Sir, our army has won a great victory. More than 1,000 rebels were beheaded and more than 3,000 were captured. The remaining rebels are fleeing to the west." Zhang Meng ran quickly to Yi Xian's side and said excitedly. Who could have imagined that they, with only 1,000 defenders, had defeated 5,000 rebels and achieved a resounding victory, completely crushing the enemy. Putting this matter aside a day ago, Zhang Meng couldn't even think about it. Yi Xian nodded and said. Thanks to the soldiers and the people in the city working hard to achieve such a great victory. Announce the whole city that there will be enough noodle food tonight. Yi Xian waved his hand and arranged the instant noodles. After all, he doesn't have any silver in his hand, and the only thing he can reward is instant noodles, Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 8. Being a prisoner is also very happy. Seeking fresh flowers. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. That night, in Dong'an Pingcheng. The streets are filled with iron pots, and the people are happy and encouraged. They eat noodles with oily mouths and smiles on their faces. They have never eaten so happily before, and their hearts are filled with gratitude towards Yi Xian. The entire city is filled with the rich aroma of instant noodles. The soldiers of the Yellow Turban Army who were captured after losing a battle during the day are now tied up in a temporary camp in the city. There are not many soldiers guarding, only a few dozen. The prisoners who were bound were whispering to each other, trying to find a way to escape. There aren't many soldiers guarding. If we take action together, we can escape from the city in the dark. With so many hands, there's also a chance to kill that dog county magistrate in the county government. Everyone, cheer up and take action when you find an opportunity. Spread the news, everyone take action together. These captured soldiers of the Yellow Turban Army were not willing to be caught like this, and were also worried about being liquidated by the government, beheading them in public. At this moment, I want to find an opportunity to attack the guards and escape. At this moment, a strong aroma drifted in. Suck, this taste is too fragrant. What is this cooking for? It smells so delicious. Is it meat soup? The hungry prisoners of the Yellow Turban Army now had an intoxicated expression on their faces, wishing they could have a delicious bite. Even some prisoners drool out. Dozens of soldiers walked over carrying wooden barrels filled with flour. The prisoners present only then noticed that the fragrance they smelled was wafting out of the wooden barrel in front of them, and their eyes were fixed. What kind of food are these? How could they be so delicious? Oh my goodness! Do the officers and soldiers eat such good military rations? If that's the case, I would have joined the army if I had known earlier. I want to be able to take a bite of this delicious food, even if I die, it's worth it. Amidst the chatter of the prisoners, the approaching sergeant put down the wooden barrel and then took out the wooden bowl to divide and serve. Lord Yi has an order to distribute noodles to the prisoners. Everyone has it, no one should grab it. Just wait in place. A sergeant exclaimed loudly. Bang! As soon as these words were spoken, the prisoners present instantly exploded. Isn't this a joke? How could it be that this delicacy is something that captives can eat? Is there anything wrong with my ears? The prisoners were all dumbfounded, some couldn't believe it. Are these fragrant and delicious foods in front of them actually going to be distributed to them? Who dares to think about it? I'm afraid the soldiers in front of me are playing tricks on them. But soon, the matter was confirmed. There are really prisoners who have been eating noodles one after another. The eyes of the other prisoners were shining green. Oh my goodness! Are these deliciousness really for us? I'm probably dreaming. Woo-woo, what kind of immortal county magistrate is this? How could he give prisoners such delicious food? If that's the case, I want to stay here as a prisoner for my whole life. Soon, all the prisoners ate noodles. Although each person was only given a few bites, tears of emotion streamed down their faces. They become the Yellow Turban Army to have a meal to eat, and they have never eaten a drop of oil or water. Who would have thought that after becoming a prisoner, they would instead eat fine grains, salt, and even meat? This kind of treatment makes them all feel unreal. After the soldiers who distributed the noodles left, the prisoners in the camp were still immersed in the delicious food. Just now, this is the most delicious noodle dish I've ever had. Isn't the life of princes and generals just like this? How comfortable. At this moment, the leader of the Yellow Turban Army, who had previously conspired to escape, immediately became excited as he saw no soldiers watching around. Hurry up, get started. This is the perfect opportunity to escape. Kill those guards and let everyone rush out together. As soon as he finished speaking, hundreds of pairs of eyes around him fell on him. The prisoners looked at him as if they were looking at a fool Yellow Turban leader. What do you mean? He felt an inexplicable unease in his heart. The next second, a prisoner shouted loudly, "Hurry up, someone wants to run away. He wants to kill the county magistrate. Hurry up, someone." Yellow Turban leader. He was so dumbfounded at that time. These subordinates not only don't run away, but also betray him. Is this something done by humans? Quickly, a sergeant ran over with a cold expression on his face. Who is causing trouble? Want to kill the county magistrate? Looking for death? Are you trying to escape, kid? Take it away. The sergeant waved his hand and took the yellow scarf leader away, followed by a scream not far away. Qingming outing in happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 9. 500 armor, greatly increasing strength. Seeking. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The remaining prisoners remained calm and even thought they had killed well. What are these black sheep kept for? Do you want to delay me from becoming a prisoner? Death is not worth it. Who would be willing to leave if they could eat such delicious noodles? I don't know what he thinks. Isn't it good to be a prisoner here? Why did he run away? I am willing to be a lifelong prisoner here. Woo woo, it's so fragrant. After tasting the delicious instant noodles, these yellow scarf prisoners were all conquered, preferring to stay as prisoners rather than escape. I even feel that being a prisoner in Donggenping is a happy thing. Reputation value +1, reputation value +1, reputation value +1. Returning to his room to rest, Yi Xian looked at the constantly flashing reputation prompts in his mind, and a happy smile appeared on his face. In just one night, his reputation skyrocketed by tens of thousands. This is related to Yi Xian's banquet inviting the whole city to eat instant noodles. Nowadays, the people in the city are all grateful to Yi Xian, and even offer his longevity card at home. Host reputation value exceeds 50,000, unlock second level mall. Upon seeing the prompt from the reputation system, Yi Xian was overjoyed and his thoughts immediately entered the system, host. Yi Xian, force value. 80 reputation value. 50036 level 2 reputation mall. Random flavor beef noodles. Free. Spear. 10 reputation points. Crossbow. 10 reputation points. Light armor. 100 reputation points. After upgrading the reputation mall, 3 new products have been unlocked. Seeing the light armor that could be purchased through the system mall, Yi Xian's eyes were fixed and he couldn't help but take a cold breath. You should know the scarcity of armor in this chaotic world. The only defenders in the city who can wear armor are those few military lords, all of whom are half-length light armor. If wearing armor for combat, the defense performance can be greatly improved, and many casualties can be reduced during combat. Just one light armor can elevate the combat effectiveness of the entire army to a higher level. Yi Xian couldn't help but get excited at this moment, wishing to increase his reputation more. The next morning, Yi Xian called Zhang Meng over. "Sir, do you have anything to do with my humble position?" Seeing Zhang Meng, Yi Xian waved at him. "Come with me for a moment." After speaking, Yi Xian turned around and walked into the nearby warehouse. Zhang Meng was confused, but he quickly followed in. "Sir, you." Hiss. Zhang Meng was about to ask when he was stunned by the sight in front of him. Hundreds of brand new and beautiful armor were neatly stacked in the warehouse, with hundreds of finely crafted long spears piled up next to them. Zhang Meng quickly rubbed his eyes and took a cold breath. "Sir, where do these armor come from? And these long guns? How could there be these things in the warehouse? Hiding armor is a charge of beheading." However, in this chaotic era, with various warlords rising in rebellion and yellow scarves wreaking havoc, the court has no ability to manage the matter of secretly hiding armor. Zhang Meng was just shocked by why so many weapons and armor appeared in the county government's warehouse. Yi Xian had anticipated Zhang Meng's reaction and casually used an excuse to evade it. "These were sent by someone from a merchant friend of our official. Send someone immediately to transport these armor and spears to the military camp. First distribute to 500 experienced and skilled soldiers. The remaining soldiers, tell them to wait first, and when new armor weapons arrive in a while, distribute them to them." After one night, Yi Xian's reputation value increased to 60,000 points, which almost reached its limit, and the growth rate slowed down a lot. Yi Xian exchanged 500 sets of light armor and 500 spears from the reputation mall, and his reputation value has also been depleted. "Yes. I'll take action immediately." Upon hearing Yi Xian's instructions, Zhang Meng immediately replied. He looked at the armor in front of him and his eyes lit up, wishing he could put on one immediately. When Yi Xian arrived at the military academy, 500 soldiers were already wearing silver light armor and holding black iron spears, exuding a strong aura. "See you, sir. See you, sir." The soldiers were all very respectful when they saw Yi Xian, kneeling neatly on one knee to salute him. The scene is very spectacular. The soldiers present are all kneeling from the bottom of their hearts. Yi Xian not only gave them delicious noodles to eat, but also replaced them with brand new armor and weapons. The soldiers had already regarded him as a divine presence in their hearts. Seeing this, Yi Xian waved his hand and said, "Let's all get up. There is no need to kneel in the military camp in the future." Scream! Scream! The soldiers in armor stood up and made a crisp sound. Yi Xian is also very satisfied with such a military appearance, and his purpose of coming to the military camp is to provide several plans for the soldiers' future training. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 10. All prisoners surrender. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Within the camp, Yi Xian introduced equipment such as the horizontal bar, parallel bars, and dumbbells to the 5 military marquises. At the same time, it also stipulates that in addition to necessary military exercises, soldiers in the military have added daily 5-kilometer running training, as well as requirements for push-ups, pull-ups, and other numbers. Faced with the bizarre training methods proposed by Yi Xian, the military lords looked puzzled. Although they didn't quite understand, they all readily agreed and patted their chests, saying there was no problem. For them, if Yi Xian indulges them in delicious noodles or just manages to fill them up, then what Yi Xian says is equivalent to a decree, and they just follow it. Yes. I understand my humble position. At this moment, a sergeant ran in from outside. Report to Lord, those prisoners want to meet Lord. Upon hearing this, Yi Xian nodded and said, Okay, I'll go over now. He had originally planned to handle the Yellow Turban prisoners after explaining the training of a few people. So many prisoners, we must find a solution. Can't we just feed ourselves every day? Although it's not wrong to have enough instant noodles, there is so much that these 3,000 prisoners can do and cannot be wasted. Soon, Yi Xian arrived at the camp where the prisoners of the Yellow Turban Army were being held. The county magistrate is here. With a loud shout, the gaze of the 3,000 prisoners present also turned towards Yi Xian, falling on him. Is he the county magistrate? I didn't expect this county magistrate to be so young. Yi Xian is only in his early 20s, not even considered old in ancient times, and his appearance can also be called beautiful and handsome. Yi Xian looked at the prisoners in front of him and asked questions. I heard you want to see me. What do you need to talk to me about? At this moment, Yi Xian already had the idea of dealing with these prisoners in his heart. Either release them and let them settle down in the city, or join the army and become a garrison soldier in Donggenping. If anyone wants to leave, Yi Xian will also agree to let them go. After all, these prisoners joined the Yellow Turban Army only to have a full meal, and most of them rebelled under the influence of temptation. At the end of the day, they are also a group of hard-working people who cannot eat enough or wear warm clothes. As soon as Yi Xian finished speaking, one of the prisoners boldly asked. County Magistrate, I would like to ask if the officers and soldiers in the city eat those delicious noodles every meal. Suction slip. At the moment of mentioning the noodles, the prisoner couldn't help but drool uncontrollably. The other prisoners were also swallowing their saliva wildly at this moment, their eyes fixed on Yi Xian, full of anticipation. Yi Xian's expression was taken aback for a moment, so he nodded inexplicably and said. At present, the soldiers in the city do indeed eat noodles every meal. Do you have anything to do? Bang! As soon as the words fell, all the prisoners present went crazy. Surprisingly, it's true. These officers and soldiers' lives are also too good. I can eat fine grains every meal, envy me. What kind of immortal life is this? At this moment, the prisoners only had one thought in their hearts, which was to become soldiers of Donggenping. County Magistrate, I want to join the army. I am willing to join the army and go through fire and water for the county magistrate. Please ask the county magistrate to accept me. These prisoners all knelt down in front of Yi Xian, pleading with him to take them in and become soldiers under his command. Seeing this scene, Yi Xian was stunned at the time. He had envisioned many possibilities, but he didn't expect that absorbing these prisoners to join the army would be so smooth. Faced with such requests from them, Yi Xian naturally wouldn't refuse. Managing food may be difficult for others, but for Yi Xian, it's just a simple matter of exchanging more instant noodles. Yi Xian waved his hand and said. As long as you can abide by military discipline and obey orders, I can agree to your request. Seeing Yi Xian's agreement, the prisoners present were all excited. Thank you very much, County Magistrate. Thank you very much, sir. I promise to abide by military orders and obey adults' orders. Having absorbed these 3,000 prisoners and enlisted, there were over 4,000 troops stationed in Donggenping. This is already a considerable force. As long as it is not a large-scale Yellow Turban rebel attacking, it is completely no problem to defend the city. After assigning the training tasks for the new recruits to several military lords, Yi Xian left the military camp. For Yi Xian, the most important thing right now is to improve his reputation. Only by obtaining more reputation points can one exchange more armor and equipment from the reputation mall. After all, in this chaotic world, the stronger one's own strength, the more capable one can be of self-protection. Yi Xian knew that although there were no rebels besieging the city outside, soon after, Kong Rong, the governor of Beihai County, Beihai Prime Minister, would lead his army to fight against the 200,000 Yellow Turban Army in Qingzhou. According to historical records, in the second year of Chu Ping, Zhang Rao, the Yellow Turban of Qingzhou, led his 200,000 troops to return from Jizhou. Kong Rong, the prefect of Beihai, led his troops to confront him and was defeated by Rao. Dong'anping is one of the county towns in Beihai County, and it will inevitably be affected, and it engages in battle with the Yellow Turban Army. Yi Xian doesn't want to be chased by the Yellow Turban Army, so he can only prepare in advance. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th.